Hey, Jeff from Become More Compelling here. Quick programming note for you before we hop into the show. I'm doing an experiment where I do a daily live stream, uh, and those live streams are available on YouTube at my YouTube channel and also available on X if you're an X user. I'm also going to post the audio on the podcast here. And every once in a while on the live stream, there is a visual component, but I do my best to explain the visual component that I'm looking at. The purpose of the live stream, I call it Confidence Maxing Live, because my book is Confidence Maxing, so it makes sense to have something called Confidence Maxing Live. It's a experiment where I'm doing a live stream every morning for the month of April, and so we will see how it goes. I'm having a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoy the audio of the live stream, and I hope you possibly catch me live one morning because it would be great to have you. Without further ado, let's hop into the show with a nice, wonderful jingle.
If your mind's running circles again, second guessing every word you said, take a breath, reset your track. You don't need to hold yourself back. Stop overthinking, start connecting. Confidence rising.
Today, on the first official show, what we're going to talk about, some fun things. Let me pull it up. We're going to talk about the only 4 jobs that will remain at tech companies. We'll talk about the great 2026 Japanese/American Love Fest, and we'll talk about something I like to call the iceberg effect. If you've read my book, it's in chapter 12, and it relates to some of the other stuff that we've talked about, or what we will talk about. So that's it. Let's get into it. So first off here, let's see here. Let's talk about the only 4 jobs that will remain at tech companies. So this is something I came across yesterday on X, and it's pretty interesting. So they were talking about the kind of the rise of AI and what that's going to mean for tech companies and what kind of roles will remain after the great hordes of robots take everyone's jobs. So one is a product engineer, vibe coder, PM/slop cannon. It's someone who is a high tool use generalist that produces a lot of stuff, right? The second one is someone who kind of runs security and make sure that the things that the company is producing are stable, secure, and robust. But the third one, this is what's relevant to our discussion: hot people. So I'll read this verbatim. You will find hot people in roles ranging from sales to people to CX. There will always be an important place for those who present an easy UX to the world and are pleasant to be around. Remember, there are many ways to be hot. And so I saw that and I was like, okay, well, apparently I am in the hot people business. And I really like this part where they say there will always be an important place for those who present an easy UX to the world and are pleasant to be around. Now, how I take that is, I never thought about it in these terms, but how we interact with people, that's the UX. And do you make it an easy UX for other people, or do you make it a difficult UX for other people, right? And people that are pleasant to be around. So people that, it doesn't mean necessarily like be a pushover or agree or be overly nice or whatever, but it's just don't make things more difficult than they have to be, right? And so that really stuck out at me because there's always going to be a place. And the reality is at least like the people I work with, I work with a lot of people in tech companies, but also technical co-founders and things like that. And there's always a place for people that make it easy to be around them, easy to work with. Um, they get stuff done, but they are pleasant to be around. And so it's an incredibly important skill. And you know, here's the thing: if you feel like you wish you were a little bit more, if you wish you were a little better at that skill, then guess what? There's a book, and it's called Confidence Maxing, and it will help you present yourself with a good user experience to others, and it'll make you more pleasant to be around. So that's our first story of the day. Second story here. Now, this is just a great meme. Did we just become best friends? America says to Japan, and Japan says, hi. So, what's been happening on X with, there's, the last 24 hours or so, there's been a Japanese / American love fest going on. And I think this is the OG post. This is like the post that started it all. This post has 44 million views, which is nuts. I like this photo of American men in meat. Someday I'd like to join in on this in person, and just shows, some dudes grilling some meat. So what this has spawned is I've seen, both on the American side and the Japanese side, I've seen, especially over the topics of cooking, as you see here, but I've seen baseball, K trucks, the little small trucks, and cowboy culture. I've seen all of this. I've seen people inviting Japanese people to America to like go hunting with them, and so it's interesting because, and I think someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think X rolled out like some kind of auto translate feature, and so a bunch of Japanese posts were surfacing in American feeds that were automatically translated, right? So what's interesting about that is now there's like a cultural exchange of like, hey, I like some of the same things that you like, which to me is just fascinating, because when you find out, like if you're talking to someone and you find out that you end up liking the same things, or you're interested in the same things, like there's some kind of like light bulb moment that happens where you're like, oh, I didn't know that you were into this or that. Think about it in any conversation that you have, where you'll be talking to someone, it'll be kind of surface level small talk, and then they're into the same weird hobby that you're into, and then boom, you guys start connecting, because there's just now an infinite number of things that you can talk about. And so what we're going to do next here is we're going to go over to the whiteboard. Just pulling out all the camera angles today. Only the best for you. So let's get set up here. Perfect. So a couple years ago, I went axe throwing with my father-in-law. It was a lot of fun. I wasn't particularly good at it, but it got me thinking of, I was trying to think of like, what's a representation of why you should expand the number of interests that you have, right? So say that maybe this is you right now. That's fine if it is, where you've got a very narrow range of interests. And so what that means is that when we're thinking of axes that you can throw downrange and smack into the target, there's just a lot less chance that you're going to have some hits on your target, because you're only interested in, say, I'll pick on myself. You're only interested in like Major League Baseball uniforms, like the history of Major League Baseball uniforms. I write about this in my book a little bit. That's my weird thing. I know so much about it. But as you might expect, and I'm not kidding, you can like give me a uniform from basically any point in Major League Baseball history, and I'll probably know the year. Uh, but as you might imagine, this comes up in conversation about 0.0% of the time. So not particularly helpful, right? And if that was all I was like zeroed in on, guess what? There wouldn't even be this. Like it would be absolutely nothing. So what's the solution? We need to expand our range of interests, right? And this can be done in as little as 10 minutes a day, where you just seek out a different YouTube video at lunch. And it's something that you wouldn't normally, seek out, right? And you watch it, you learn a little bit, and then you're starting to get prepared for the next time you encounter someone who's got that interest, where you can say, oh, I watched a little YouTube video on architecture or whatever it happens to be. And then you're expanding your interest range. It doesn't mean that you have to be an expert on something. You don't have to read books and books and books on something to be able to speak about it casually. But you just have to know a little bit, just a little conversational knowledge, a little working knowledge. So if that's you, as you expand your interests, then you get the gigantic billboard-sized dartboard here. And this is great because look at all of this in terms of opportunity to connect with other people, because those interests, like that dartboard or that piece of plywood or whatever you're throwing the axe to, it's big. It's big, and it may not be a particularly deep knowledge, but you've got a little working knowledge on a lot of different things. And so you can connect with a wider variety of people. And how this relates back to the sort of the Japanese American Love Fest of 2026 is simply that a lot of these Japanese people and these people that run these accounts, they enjoy some of the same things that Americans enjoy. And then, of course, as soon as the unlock happens, like, oh, you're into like this thing or that thing, then people instantly connect. And then from there, people can expand and say, oh, well, if you're into that, I guess I'll post of, it was corn on the cob. This is a Japanese person posting. It was corn on the cob, but with soy sauce, and it was burned a little bit, and some kind of Japanese dish, I suppose. And then people are like, oh, that sounds really good. I would like to try that. And so once you connect with people who have the same interests, then you can show them more about your interests, even if they're off of the main topic, right? And it still works beautifully. And so our lesson in there is simply carve out 5-10 minutes a day, expose yourself to something new, and then just see what you end up liking, and then kind of follow that sort of rabbit trail, and you'll expand your interest, and you'll be able to talk to a lot wider variety of people. One of my clients asked me, like, what's the best way to get started with that? Well, yes, you can look up stuff on YouTube, but the sidebar where they recommend, like after you've started to look some things up, that sidebar is a gold mine where it's what is it, like $1 billion algorithm to serve you what it thinks you might like. And so it's a good sorting mechanism to say, oh, well, if you like that, you might like this, and so on and so forth. And so that's a really good way to go about it. And it's not that much effort. All you're doing is skimming and saying, oh, this looks interesting. Oh, that looks interesting. And so on and so forth. So I think that's pretty cool. And, as far as the first show here goes, what I'll tell you is I'm going to keep expectations pretty light. My goal is to treat this as an experiment where I do this live stream during the week, Monday through Friday. And I would like to do this, we're at the end of March, and so I'd like to do it for at least all of April and see how that goes. I'm sure things will get a little easier. I'll know the right buttons to press and in what order. Full disclosure, I don't even know if anyone can see me right now because I had a little technical difficulty. But one of the things that that is interesting when you start something new is something I call effort gravity. Again, it's going to sound like I'm plugging my book every 5 minutes, which I am, and I'm proud of that because it's a good book. It's got perfect ratings on Amazon. But there's something I talk about in there called effort gravity, and what that is simply is that whenever you start anything new, the effort will always be high at the beginning, and then the effort will decrease over time. And so, in the beginning, you're kind of in the danger zone of, I call it the quit zone, where it's easy to say, oh, this is too difficult, or there are too many buttons to click, or whatever, right? Well, you have to push past that. And I think what helps to push past that is simply knowing the more times I do this, the easier it gets. The more often I do it, the easier it gets. And that's true for every skill. Think of any skill that you've learned in your entire life, and that's true. If you're good at the skill now, you were once not good at the skill, and that skill took a lot of effort in the beginning. Over time, it got easier. And so you'll be able to watch that play out in real time, because in future live streams, I won't be complaining about how many buttons I had to press. I'll just come on, and then we'll get after it. And so if you like this, let me know. And we're going to wrap here. I'm going to play out with the wonderful confidence maxing jingle, and I will see you again tomorrow.